Him playing up front. Well, it's a heroic effort. West Bromwich Albion have seen it through. So long with 10 men, so long they held firm. Chris Brunt's red card seemed to be a costly turning point, but Sam Johnston's brilliance in his goal did preserve West Brom and send them through to extra time. Craig Dawson with a goal that has mattered on the night. And now it is all down to that nervous duel from the penalty spot.
Well, an heroic effort from West Brom. The good news for their fans, their team have done so well to take it to penalties with being down to 10 men for so long against a team like Aston Villa. The bad news is that Jay Rodriguez, the main penalty taker, the only player to have taken a penalty this season, isn't on the pitch. Then there's Chris Brunt, Matt Phillips, who have gone off, Dwight Gale and Hal Robson-Kanu suspended. You'd fancy those five in a shootout. In fact, the last West Brom player to have taken a penalty other than Rodriguez was Nasser Chadli, September 2016. Who will put their hand up at the biggest point of the season for some of the biggest game of their lives, make that dreaded walk and take a spot kick. Mind you, it has to be said, for Villa, only Tammy Abraham has taken more than one penalty this season. But Liam, what are you looking for right now as a coach?
I think as a coach, you're looking for, you can prepare all you like on a training ground. You want confident players to say, do you know what, guys, I want to take one. I want to take one. I don't think you can argue with that then. And there might be a penalty taker that's used to taking them, like Harold Sam say, do you know what, I don't fancy it. You want honesty and you want players to go up, pick a side, choose a side and use their technique. And
what if you don't have five?
Then it's a problem. Then you're looking to players. But we've got to appreciate West Brom's performance. To put in that effort, the work rate, the desire to defend their box. Ghazi was outstanding. Dawson scores the goal. Bartley. Everything that came into their box, they stood up to. They defended heroically. They deserve this opportunity to go for on penalties. They've absolutely earned it over the two legs.
Keith, what are you looking for?
Nerves. Who's going to fancy it? There's going to be a hero. There's going to be a villain. I have to say, I think they deserve to get to penalties, West Brom, for what they produced over the two legs, and especially going down to 10 men, having to deal with that. Villa didn't do enough. The goalkeepers are obviously going to play a big part, so if I'm having to choose one who I would fancy to have in my team, it would be Sam Johnson. I think he's played well tonight. He's made a couple of good, quality saves, and I think he'll be full of confidence. And he'll obviously know a lot of those Villa players very, very well. He's trained with them, obviously, last season.
And over the two legs, West Brom have played with 10 men for 41 minutes in this time.
They have, and in a way it has suited them because throughout they've defended deep. There was a little period in the second half of this game, more due to Aston Villa's mistakes, where they pressed a little bit higher. But that's the game plan. And full credit to James Shannon and his coaching staff, because they've put together a coaching plan of how to deal with an Aston Villa team that have been absolutely flying at this stage of the season. They've nullified a lot of their threats. Now they're in a position where they're 5 penalty kicks away from getting to Wembley.
Sam Johnson had a good season last season, didn't he?
Brilliant.
For Aston Villa.
Yeah. Quite ironic, isn't it? Maybe
isn't
a bit of one that may cost them getting to Wembley. Couldn't quite make the jump last season. Played in the playoff final. Spoke about goalkeepers. In terms of takers, I would have to say I would prefer Villa's takers. So please don't ask me to.
Well, do you think Sam Johnson has an advantage, having played at Villa last season?
I think he does. I think Aston Villa players that will be in the back of their minds. You always used to take penalties in training sessions, goalkeepers saying that they know the side that you want to go. I think it does. You want to make the most from the small 1% advantages that you can, and Sam Johnson will be using that to his advantage. It was really interesting the fact that Aston Villa brought on Jedinak, who we know is a fantastic penalty taker for Crystal Palace. They've brought him on just for this moment, but he's not even touched the ball. No. It's going to be really interesting to see his penalty for sure.
That would be his first touch, wouldn't it? West Brom having the first kick.
I'm going West Brom because I just think the way it's gone over the two legs, I just think it's maybe written in the stars that it's going to be down.
Oh, Jimmy Shan said, if you remember pre-match, they had been practicing penalties, that they had 3 or 4 key players and key takers. You just wonder how many are left on the pitch. All down to Bottle and a little bit of technique as well. Let's get back to Andy and Dan.
Well, the nerves are the main thing. And that Mason Holgate is the first to take the walk. So Holgate against Steer. Oh, and Villa off to the perfect start. These situations are made for goalkeepers. And Jed Steer with the first moment of heroics.
Maybe just slightly telegraphs this. He sets himself very early where he's going to play the ball. It's a good height for the keeper as well.
So, Sam Johnston will have been in this situation many times on the training ground, facing a penalty from Conor Hourihane. But he can't stop it, and Villa have the advantage. Ahmed Higazi makes the long walk. Can he open the door again for Albion? Oh, Steer again! It's turning into his night!
Well, the goalkeeper's worked hard on reading how a penalty taker approaches the ball. Is he giving anything away? Is he going to show me which side he's going to play it? I think with Holgate and Higazi, they have done that. They're two brilliant saves, though, by Jed Steer. He's read where they're going to go. He's got there so quickly.
Well, Mile Jedinak brought on for this. They're not far away already. Beautifully stuck away. Job done for Mile Jedinak, and now Tosin Adarabioyo is given the responsibility. Interesting that it's the defenders who are shouldering it all.
Just going to say, another defender. That does surprise me a little bit.
I know he's played in midfield in the time he's been on the pitch, but they wouldn't be the expected suspects necessarily. Adarabioyo gets it right, and he really had to.
Have a guess who's taking the next penalty.
Grealish to put Villa on the brink. The man who has done so much to carry them forward into the playoffs in the first place has a chance to propel them towards Wembley. Spot on, nothing less than he would have expected, nothing less than Villa would have expected.
Well, for Aston Villa, that's a trio of high-quality penalties. None of them have gone anywhere near giving Sam Johnston a chance.
Kieran Gibbs has to score. And Kieran Gibbs has scored. Well, all it means now is that Albert Adoma has the chance to score the clincher. Johnston shuffling. Oh, and Adoma succumbs to the pressure.
Well, just the way he approached taking the penalty, kind of an easy, languid style. I don't know, he's kind of leaning back. It's nothing like the kind of penalty you should be taking in these circumstances. Hard, low, keep it on target, don't try and be too clever.
Season of frustration for this man, James Morrison. Has to score, and does emphatically. And Villa, who have put themselves in a brilliant position, turn now to the man who netted from the spot on Saturday.
Well, what is Tammy Abraham going to do here? Scored to the keeper's left in the first leg. Does he go the same way again, or does he change his mind?
Well, you almost wouldn't want anyone else in this situation, but pressure can do funny things. Destiny at Tammy Abraham's feet. He's done it! Villa are heading back to Wembley. Well, they toiled, they battled, and finally they have made it. A year on from the pain against Fulham, they return to the high temple of English football to play for a place in the Premier League.
Well, you have to feel for West Brom. They put so much work into it, especially when they were a man down. They deserved to take it to penalties, but Aston Villa, 4 of their 5 penalties really were nerveless, and that's what's got them to Wembley. The fine margins, and Villa come out on top.
Jed Steer with 2 moments of heroism. Goalkeepers can make so much of their reputation on occasions like this, and it is a night he will never forget. Remember, for half the season he was out on loan. Started the season as the first choice, ends it as the first choice, and now there's going to take a lot to shift it. Well, they were the form team coming into it, in most people's eyes, the favourites, and they are where they want to be. But now, while we witness the thrill of victory, there is the agony of defeat and the emotion for poor Mason Holgate. But for the second year in succession, Aston Villa will contest the Championship playoff final. Much more anxious and nervous than Dean Smith would have liked, no doubt, but they are there, and we can get reaction down on the pitch with David Craig.
Jed, Tammy, congratulations. Jed, can you sum up those few moments?
No, geez, there was it's obviously not luck involved, but wow, supporters are brilliant, and thank God we got through.
How much work have you put into studying penalties this week and practicing saving them?
No more than we have done previously. We practiced penalties, so I think I must have faced about 100 of them a day for the past few days. So yeah, just nice to make a couple of saves. And the boys' penalties are brilliant, brilliant.
Tammy, you scored the winning penalty, but how much do you owe to this man tonight?
What a keeper, we've been practicing in training. I've missed a couple against him. We're all confident, and like I said, what a keeper, man.
The goals have flowed for you this season from outside the box, the penalty spot as well, but how much pressure was on your young shoulders then?
For me, I'm used to it, I'm professional, I'm used to the pressure, I like the pressure, and but it's not down to me, it's down to this man beside me, he saved us today.
Jed, of course, it means that Villa get another bite at the very rich cherry at Wembley. Last year, of course, was such a disappointment. Do you get a sense that this is now your year?
Yeah, definitely. We're playing good football, moving it nicely, and we're well up for it. Bring on Wembley.
Tammy, how much does it mean? You can see the scenes behind you. What does it mean to everybody associated with the club?
I can hardly hear you right now. It's so loud, but it means the world to everyone. You know, you can see the passion. You know, throughout the whole season, these amazing fans have supported us all the way. You know, we're going to Wembley. We just have to do the final bit.
Is this a team that never knows when it's beaten?
Yeah, definitely. You know, we just go to the last minute, and that's a good spirit to have.
Well, well done to both of you. I think there'll be a few drinks for you one way or another. Well done, G.
Thank you very much.
Well, we saw drama in the Champions League twice last week, and now we've had this in the Championship. And football is a wonderful game, isn't it? Absolutely amazing. Aston Villa were 15th when Dean Smith took over in October. At the start of March, they were 13th in the table, 8 points behind Bristol City in 6th, 31 points from their final 12 Championship games. And let's hear from Dean Smith right now with David Craig.
Dean, this must be a very emotional moment for you. You've got a strong family connection with the club. How proud are you tonight?
I'm not that emotional, to be honest. I'm very proud of the lads, you know. I mean, disappointing thing was I can't believe we lost the game tonight. You know, I felt we should have won the game in normal time, and, you know, we probably weren't. Our quality wasn't good enough in the final third. We've had a lot of ball all game again, but job done, I suppose, in terms of getting to the next game at Wembley. We've got to do one more now.
It came down to penalties in the end. How confident were you in your keeper tonight?
To be honest, we worked very hard for the day we knew we was in the playoffs. We started working on penalties. So we've been doing this for 4 weeks. We had a plan of who would take them, and you know, Coach works very hard with Jed Steer in terms of, you know, which way the opposition would go. So, you know, that was a plan.
Given the form he's been in, Tammy Abrahams, was there anybody better to take that final penalty?
There's about 3 or 4 of them who wanted the 5th penalty, but no, Tammy Abraham, you know, he's a prolific finisher, and he's shown that tonight.
Of course, it now puts you at Wembley against either Leeds or Derby, and it gives Villa a second chance in 2 years. Is this one that you've got to grasp with both hands, Dean?
Well, everybody knows the rewards by going and doing it. It's going to be tough because, you know, they're 2 good teams, Leeds and Derby County. You know, Albion put up a really good defensive performance in the 2 games and made it difficult, and, you know, that's what ended up going with penalties.
You are a fan yourself of this club. I know you have to try and detach from that, but when you look at these scenes behind you, can you relate to that emotion?
I've been there, I've been cheering along with them before, so really, really pleased for them. You know, they're great supporters. They've followed us through thick and thin, and you know, they didn't get as many of the allocations we probably wanted today, but, you know, great for them.
Dean, go and milk the applause. You deserve it. Jack, thanks for joining us. When we spoke at the weekend, you said every time this team looks beaten, you look around and you know you won't be beaten. Was that proven again tonight?
Kind of, but yeah, you know, it was a tough game here. You know, the crowd made it tough, you know, with the atmosphere. I said that after the game on Saturday, and yeah, you know, it was a good game, but you know, in the end, I think we ran out worthy winners.
You're a Villa fan through and through, like the boss. Can you relate to these scenes and put into words what it means to everybody?
Yeah, of course, but you know, we've done it last season. There's no good, you know, going on the run that we've been on, and then getting to Wembley and then falling at the final hurdle again. So fingers crossed, you know, like I said, I look in there and I truly believe we can get promoted. So fingers crossed.
You go to Wembley a more mature and experienced team for that experience last season?
Not really, no, because I think last year was a more experienced team. But you know, this year we've got younger players. You know, all of us are very hungry. Got legs in us, and yeah, we'll be going there. Yeah, so. Obviously tonight was a tough game. Credit to West Brom, you know, when it went down to 10 men, you know, they were brilliant, defended well. So yeah, you know, we'll have a few days off now and then prepare for Wembley.
Leeds or Derby awaiting that final. Do you have a preference?
No, not at all. You know, they're both brilliant teams. We played against them both this season. Both young, energetic teams like ourselves. So anyone that we play will be tough, but you know, we're ready to go for it.
Well done. I can see you've got a tribute to a cherished family member. I'm sure she'll be proud of you. Well done.
Yeah.
Yes, a message to his grandmother who recently passed away. Nice touch from Jack Grealish. Wonderful player, so integral to Aston Villa as well. Couldn't quite see him at his best tonight, which I think gives great credit to West Brom. But in the end, it was all about Bottle on taking penalties. They deserved to go over to the final for you, Keith?
Fancied them before the first ball was kicked in the first leg. Fancied them coming into this. Dean Smith, very honest in his appraisal of the game, didn't really perform. Were poor in the final third, made life difficult for himself. But on the flip side of that, West Brom made it that type of game. They were very, very impressive tonight in how they approached the game, with what they've been missing in terms of personnel. Key players they didn't have at their disposal tonight. And I think that was probably the difference for them, and obviously the sending off.
Seeing jubilant scenes now, but listening and looking at Jack Grealish and also Dean Smith as well, very level-headed, weren't they?
Yeah, it bodes well. They know that this is job's half done. They're halfway there now. They've got to go to Wembley and win, which is, I think, when you lose that important game like you do last season, it drives you on the next year to go that one step better. And you saw it in Jack's interview before the game. You see it in his interview after the game. And yes, they're absolutely delighted to get there, but now they know they have to go finish the job and get a huge football club back to the Premier League where they belong.
He's made an impact, hasn't he?
I'll tell you what, he was like a Rolls Royce. I cannot tell you how impressed I've been with him. I've seen him play for Bournemouth, never done it. Physically, mentally, not quite sure he was quite getting over the injuries, never got up to full speed fitness-wise, clearly because he didn't have the run of games. Since he has come to this team, he has transformed the defence, no shadow of a doubt. The way he goes about it, the pace, the power, and at times tonight when they struggled for real composure, he was the one player that gave him it. He has been a magnificent signing.
Well, let's hear from him right now, and John McGinn as well with David Craig.
John, Tyrone, congratulations. You booked your place at Wembley, but did you have to do it the hard way over both legs?
It's Aston Villa, we always do it the hard way. I think over the two legs, I don't think we played the best we've been playing. We've been on a great run of form. West Brom made it difficult for us, but in the end we're just glad to get the job done. We crawled over the line, but over the moon.
Tyrone, there is a never say die spirit about this side. Do you sense that through training within the dressing room, throughout the club?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as I got here, there's a great atmosphere between the lads. And obviously our recent run of results has proved that we've got some resilience. And we always seem to find a way to win at the moment. So we're obviously delighted to come here and eventually get the win. It was difficult when they went down to 10 men, but obviously credit to the lads. We've got such a great set of lads here who never know when they're beaten or never know when to give up.
John, he's a very modest boy, but how immense has he been and important for you since he's arrived?
I'm just glad he's got his top on now. No, to be fair, he's been different class, I think, since he joined in January. It took us ages to get him, but you can say he's a colossus at the back. I just don't know how he doesn't get a game for Bournemouth. That's a myth for me. So if we can keep a hold of tie in the Premier League next summer, if we do it, then that'll be brilliant for the club.
Of course, Villa were in the final last year. It wasn't to be. Is this an opportunity that you now have to grab?
Yeah, I just think you see the potential of the club. Everyone knows the size and the stature of the place, and I think we'd be a great addition to the Premier League. But we've got a very tough game coming up, whoever it is, Leeds or Derby, and I think the both of them will not look forward to playing us. That's for sure. So we're really looking forward to it, and I'm sure every one of them is as well.
Tyrone, if you look at these scenes behind you, does it underline what a big club Villa is?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, everybody knows the size of the fan base, and all throughout the season they've given us great support home and away. So to reward them with a trip to Wembley is vitally important, but I think it's the least that they deserve as well.
Well done to you both of you. Go and enjoy it.
Thank you.
Just spoke about Tyrone Mings. What about John McGinn? How impressive was he tonight and also the whole season?
Look, they've transformed the way they played. Jack Grealish mentioned about the way this team plays compared to last year. They haven't got the experience that they had last year within the team, but what they have got, they've got legs, they've got energy, they've got real pace, and those two are a prime example of it. Recruitment makes or breaks it, it really does. And when you look at those two players, they have been a revelation.
Yeah, I can't praise Tyrone Mings enough there, and Jerry, he deserves it. He's come back for some huge injuries, and for a young player in their career, that's a very, very difficult thing to overcome. He's a player that's impressed me at Ipswich as a young player. Went to Brom, hasn't quite worked out for him, but what he's done by coming to Aston Villa and performing what he does, there'll be a queue the Premier League clubs wanting to take him next season, and he deserves it, and he deserves it to go to Wembley and try and get a huge club back to the Premier League. And for John McGinn, exactly the same. his return, as well as Jack Grealish's return from injury, has caused a massive upturn in Aston Villa's form, and he's been absolutely fantastic as well.
Tyrone Mings, I think he needs to sort out his body fat.
I think he needs to get in the gym a little bit more.
Absolutely fantastic night for Villa fans. Everybody connected with Aston Villa as well. The celebrations will go on long through the night, I'm sure. So, confirmation then, Aston Villa are through to the final. Tomorrow is the other semi-final. What will we see at Ellen Road? Leeds 1-0 up as it stands, but you just never know. Leeds or Derby to face Aston Villa in the final at Wembley, May the 27th. Championship playoff final, 2 o'clock, May the 27th, Sky Sports Football. Keith Andrews, Liam Rosenior and the Sheffield United manager Chris Wilder will be with us. That, I'm looking forward to that already. An Oscar-winning drama, Black Klansman, will be available on Sky Cinema from Friday. We've had an Oscar-winning night tonight, certainly really enjoyed it. Keith Andrews and Liam Rosenior, much more from them when we come back. Villa just don't do it the easy way, do they? They couldn't break 10-man West Brom down. It went to extra time, then penalties. Credit goes to Albion, but it's Aston Villa who are in the Championship playoff final. What another dramatic night in the Sky Bet Championship, this time in the playoff semi-finals. 2 missed penalties, or should we say saved penalties from Jed Steer. It came down to Tammy Abraham. He just about saw it go in. And it means that Aston Villa are through to the Championship playoff final. Absolutely incredible scenes that went on here at the Hawthorns. Players, fans alike feeling as one. It's been a fantastic achievement by Dean Smith from the moment he's come in. Ups and downs. Don't forget, included in that, there's been 10 straight wins, which has been a club record. And Tyrone Mings are taking photos of the fans. A few selfies going on there as well. And look, the party will go on all throughout the night. How did you see the penalties in terms of where they went? Did you feel that Aston Villa would go through?
You never know. I'm not going to sit here and say for Aston Villa going to go through it. It would have been a miracle for West Brom to have gone through. The 4 first penalty takers for West Brom were all defenders. That's not James Shan's fault. That's what they had left on the pitch. And if you look at the penalty takers that that were in that West Brom squad, Gareth Barry, Jay Rodriguez, Dwight Gale, there's even more. Brunt, Chris Brunt's left foot. It just seemed like everything was going Aston Villa's way, and in the end, it does catch up with you. But they were absolutely brilliant over the 2 legs in terms of, they weren't free-flowing, but James Shan changed the complete way they played to negate the space that Jack Grealish operated in. I'm really excited for Jack to go and play in the final, because whoever they play, Leeds or Derby, they'll leave spaces and it'll be a more open game when he can really come into his own.
We wonder whether Sam Johnston would be the hero tonight. Jed Steer.
I thought he would. I thought he'd do a little bit more, especially knowing a lot of those players, training with them last year. First penalty, Holgate, it's the height. Look, you can't criticise players. Liam's mentioned about the defenders and the type of players that had to take them. They showed incredible bottle. But when you analyse the actual penalty kick, it's the height. And this one here, we run up and the delay and the time he took.
Pauses for so long. Yeah, we were sat watching it here in the studio and he pauses for 10 seconds. I'm thinking the longer you take, the harder it is to gather yourself, and the more time you give the goalkeeper to really eye you run up. And it was the pause, and Hagazi was outstanding through the game. Probably the best player on the pitch from a defensive point of view. Absolutely devastated for him. But yeah, as soon as he made that pause, I was really, really worried about that one.
And isn't it amazing how football is, how a season goes as well? Kalinic comes in January, £5 million spent. Looks like Jed Steer is going to be pushed out. He's the hero tonight. Yeah, had some shaky moments, didn't he, Kalinic, when he came in? You're thinking, will he persevere? No, he didn't. He introduced Jed Steer.
gone on that amazing run, and you can see how hard they've worked behind the scenes. And he mentioned, didn't he, 4 weeks. They knew exactly during the playoffs, this is what we're working on. How he knew what West Brom players were going to be taking the penalties, I have no idea.
It's a delight for Jed still. We did the first game, Aston Villa away at Hull, and he played extremely well, and I thought he was extremely unfortunate to find himself going out on loan. But it just shows if you persevere through your setbacks, nights like this are there for you, and he absolutely deserves that for coming back from a loan into a huge promotion-winning team, well, promotion-fighting team, and making 2 massive saves.
Now, Tammy Abraham took a penalty in the first leg. Was that in his mind, stepping up
possibly
in this one?
Same goalkeeper. You see it in the game, don't you? If you get 2 in the same game, what do you do? Do you go the same way? Do you not? And we were wondering what he might do, because let's be frank, this fella is extremely confident. He could have done anything going up to that ball. He really could have. See, you can give him the eyes there even. He's gone straight down the middle. And I think he's very, very fortunate.
He thinks he's missed at one point. It goes to show pressure moments, though, and that is a great experience for him. He's still an extremely young player, and it's quite a clever penalty to go down the middle at that stage, because you see Sam Johnson's dive for every single one.
Do you think he quite meant it like that?
No chance, absolutely no chance.
And that's where the nerves kick in, isn't it?
It does. It's so much pressure. I can't even watch penalties when I have no allegiance to any team. It's a difficult skill, and it takes a lot of bottle to walk up there and put yourself on the line like that.
How much did red cards cost West Brom tonight?
Yeah.
And over the 2 legs?
Yeah, massively. Massively, you
before
mentioned
the
it.
game, Hal Robson-Kanu who would have come on tonight.
Last game of the season, him missing, him being an option from the bench as a minimum, as a front player. Dwight Gale, obviously we spoke about before the game, thought they dealt with it really well, considering what they were missing. Tactically tonight, I don't think he could have done much more, Jimmy Shannon, that management team, that coaching team. I thought they were excellent. I thought they nullified so much what Villa do very, very well, with some outstandingly talented individuals. But you're right, the red cards have cost them, and players injured, of course.
And you're right to bring up Hal Robson-Kanu, a senior player there. Then there's Dwight Gale in the first leg, Chris Brunt tonight. You know what he's like.
I know what he's like.
He's a calm character.
He's a lovely fella. We spoke about this one. I would be amazed if he meant this. And too often I think we judge the player's character and previous history, and if you see it, look, this is the yellow card. It's an absolute stonewall, nailed on. He was so driven tonight, Chris Brunt. He's got such an affiliation with this football club. He loves it. May well possibly be his last game. We don't know that. But with the experience he has, you're looking for cool heads. And this, I can't even begin to understand what he was thinking. It was sheer emotion. That's all that was. And he'll obviously regret it. They held out, obviously, for penalty kicks, but it was a massive game changer, wasn't it?
And also McGinn. I mean, everyone's talked about Jack Grealish. McGinn was Villa's best player, wasn't he, over the 2 legs? And almost like he was the Grealish to try and stop playing.
Yeah, no, he was absolutely outstanding. He was the one that really unlocked the door. His energy levels are absolutely outstanding, but technically, the way he receives the ball in tight areas, an absolute star, fantastic signing. And for me, him and Tyrone Mings were absolute standouts for them tonight. I thought Tyrone Mings was outstanding for me, man of the match, not just his defending, but he was the one trying to take the ball. In extra time, he was actually the one making 4 runs into the box, trying to create goals. Absolutely loved his performance tonight.
If they were outstanding, their performances were outstanding. What about Dean Smith? From the moment he's taken over, not an easy club to manage, we know that. 13th, and now he's got them into the final of the playoffs.
Said at the time, there was a lot of talk about Thierry Henry. Dean Smith was always the man to take over for me because of what he's done, the journey he's been on at Walsall, at Brentford. He has proven to organise teams into an efficient manner with the level of ability they had in the dressing room, with good recruits in January, which they got. There was only going to be one outcome. I felt they would get towards the playoffs. They went on that shaky run, but then to go on the run that they went on is phenomenal. 13th before that 10-game winning run.
I think it's the manner of it as well. I've covered Aston Villa all season. I saw them under Steve Bruce, and Steve Bruce is an outstanding manager. Look at the job he's doing with Sheffield Wednesday now. There's no question of that. It just felt like it had gone stale. And I thought Dean Smith was the outstanding candidate. I thought all the pieces fit. You look at Chris Wilder, he's done an unbelievable job at the lower levels. Sheffield United fan, Billy Sharp, Sheffield United captain, boyhood fan. It's very similar feel here at Aston Villa. The club are very together now. Jack Grealish, club captain, Dean Smith manager, and he's been outstanding through his career playing a certain way, and I've seen a massive increase in terms of their performance with and without the ball since he's come to the club.
And credit to the Villa hierarchy as well for going with the right person rather than just a big name. Aston Villa through to the Championship playoff semi-final. Disappointment here, of course, at the Hawthorns, but everybody connected with West Brom can be so proud of what they tried to do over these 2 legs. Tactics pretty much spot on, but in the end it wasn't to be. We'll hear from Jimmy Shan next. Aston Villa are through to the Sky Bet Championship playoff final. Boy, it was not easy though. Over 180 minutes and then extra time. Aston Villa went to penalties and have beaten West Brom. Let's hear from Jimmy Shan right now with David Craig.
Jimmy, as we all know, football can be a cruel game at times. Can you sum up the emotion for yourself and everybody?
No. Listen, the boys have put everything into that tonight. The fans too. I called for the boys to have an application, have a forward-thinking mentality, have a threat for the fans to get behind us, and both parties have done that, to the best of their ability, and I thought we were good tonight.
For the second time in 2 games, you had to play a majority of the game with 10 men. How difficult did that make it for yourselves?
It's obviously difficult. You lack an out ball and a get out ball, and it's difficult to break from that deep block. But credit to the boys. I thought they self-managed, self-organised. And I think Villa found it very, very difficult to break us down at times. And credit to the boys how resolute they were and their character to stay within the game and take it through to penalties.
We spoke about the penalties beforehand. Clearly, like all sides, you practice them. Did you just come up against an inspired keeper tonight?
I think if you look how we finished the game, we lacked our penalty takers on the pitch. It was Stefan would have took one, Brunty would have took one, Matty would have took one, Jay would have took one. You're looking around, and as the game's going on, I'm looking and thinking, come on, just hang out because you deserve it with your work ethic and application. But in reality, I'm looking around and thinking, we haven't got natural penalty takers on the pitch.
You've had no shortage of effort and application in recent weeks and over these 2 legs, but have you had a shortage of luck go your way?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's happened over the last 2 legs, if I'm honest with you. But it is what it is. Credit to Aston Villa, and obviously we wish them all the best in the final.
These are raw moments after a night like this, but where does it leave you? Where does it leave the club in the days coming?
No idea where it leaves myself. I spoke to the football club, and the football club has assured me there's a coaching role at the football club for myself. Where does it leave the football club? Obviously, there's going to have to be a big rethink, and that's for the powers that be and the hierarchy to discuss that in the coming days.
We wish you well, Jimmy.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Keith, could he have done much more over the 2 legs?
I don't think he could have done much more since taking over, if I'm being completely honest. The coaching team that he's assembled, they've got together, they've tried to bring it in the right direction, they've tried to bring an organisation to a set system, tried to complement what they have at their disposal. And as an absolute bare minimum, he should be here next year in a coaching capacity.
In what capacity?
Well, look, I don't know what way the hierarchy want to go. If I was a betting man, I would be suggesting they will bring in a big name. Somebody that will be able to restructure the football club, will be able to look at what assets they have. They'll probably have to balance the books to a degree. Still got 2 years of parachute payments. They've got assets that they can sell. Rodriguez, Dawson nearly went last summer. We're able to keep hold of them. Of course, Gale will go back on loan. I don't think he will get it, but I tell you what, he's done his reputation the world of good. He had a really good reputation as a coach, and now he's proved that he can deal with big games.
The questions will be asked, Darren Moore being sacked, and it appearing to be no clear plan in place, certainly not implemented anyway.
No, it wasn't implemented, and I think questions need to be asked of that, because at the time of Darren Moore leaving the club, they were 4th in the league, and yes, the home form wasn't great, but when he had left the club, I think all of us in the game said, right, they must have someone in mind, and it just seemed like they didn't have a plan. So for James Shan to step into the breach and lead the club, and what was really impressive to me, yes, he had the tactical plan, But for the players to carry it out, that takes organisation, it takes belief from the players in the plan that the manager sets out for them. That was there in abundance today. He's had to manage some very, very experienced players. And what I really like about what he's done, he's shown a humility, because he's brought very, very experienced heads in and around him. Michael Appleton, Stephen Reed's an outstanding coach. So all credit to him. And what was telling for me was after the game finished, the West Brom fans stayed to applaud their team off. And I think if you lose a game, there's only one way to lose. There's only one way you can lose a game, is giving everything. And they gave absolutely everything this evening.
Keith mentioned a few players there. Jay Rodriguez, Dawson. There's Dwight Gale, who we don't know if he's going to stay or go. Can West Brom keep their best players?
I think it'll be difficult. I was surprised that Craig Dawson was still at the club. He had outstanding performances in the Premier League. Similarly, Jay Rodriguez will be a player that a lot of teams would love to have in their team at Premier League level. But what there is here is a very, very good youth plan. There's a lot of good young players coming through the system, and James Shan's been a huge part in bringing those players through. So whoever does come into this club comes into a club that has the potential to be stable, has the potential to grow. And as we've seen this season, Norwich and Sheffield United, two clubs that maybe don't have the most money to spend, but with the right organisation and planning, you can get promoted out of this league.
A new man will come in, the potential for what next season?
What can they achieve?
What can they achieve? I mean, would they be aiming top 2, top 6?
I think depending on where the finances right now are in a really, really sound place. There's no debt at this football club. They have got assets. If they can sell one or two of them for big money and it gets reinvested in the right type of areas, Liam's touch on the type of infrastructure there with the youth system, the academy, the 23s, it's been a conveyor belt. They've got really talented young players.
Sounding a bit like Norwich.
Yeah, potentially. The nucleus is there. They need to keep it together. They need to build on it. And ultimately, the recruitment needs to be spot on in the summer.
So Aston Villa in the final. Who's going to get there to play them? How do you see the second leg tomorrow?
Leeds are clear favourites, and I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, because when Leeds really struggled, Wigan at home, you know, I think they'll look back to that game as a key game. And Derby are a team with talented players in their team, but with nothing to lose. But what I have to say is Leeds were by far the better team in the first leg. They were absolutely outstanding, and I think it's been an absolute blessing for them that they did actually fall out of the automatic promotion race when they did, instead of losing out on the last day, because you can mentally regather.
But still coming off the back of that result at Ipswich, but the bottom side, there's so much pressure on them.
But it's interesting because they're probably still going through that almost mourning phase of we haven't made it. They've had that time to clear their heads and go again. They look mentally so refreshed. They looked like they were playing back in August, September, and those performances for me were still up there with the very best in the Championship. So it's all on. For me, it's Leeds to lose tomorrow.
And for Derby, they've played Leeds 3 times this season, lost all 3. How do they turn it around and make this one the decisive one?
Take the first 2 out of the equation. Derby, totally different team now. In the last 6 weeks of the season, got it going. They're playing with a real energy, a real appetite, a real hunger. Leeds controlled the game the other day. They cannot let them control the game as much as they did on Saturday. Roof, if he is injured, is going to be a major loss for them. Bamford, probably a better finisher, but all-round player for the style of play that Leeds try to employ. Roof is the main man at the top end of the pitch.
Keith, Liam, great stuff. Enjoyed your company tonight. Thank you very much indeed. So, 1 down, 1 to go to Ellen Road tomorrow to see how Leeds and Derby get on. Leeds 1 up from the first leg, reacted so well after so much pressure on them. Derby, though, have match winners. 7 o'clock, Sky Sports Football. Oh, Aston Villa never make it easy, do they? But incredibly, and who would have called this at the beginning of March? Villa are in the Championship playoff final. Bye for now.
Destiny at Tammy Abraham's feet. Done it! Villa are heading back to Wembley. A year on from the pain against Fulham, they return to the high temple of English football to play for a place in the Premier League.
Sky Sports.